Good evening, all, and welcome to day 6 of the 70 Day Video Challenge. This is Chick Miller, and I'm going to be picking up where I left off last night. Uh, if you were with us last night, you heard me talk about my first experience with serious drinking and how that alcohol took away all my inhibitions, made me feel for the first time in my life that my skin actually fit me. I was unafraid to ask girls to dance, or unafraid of bullies, etc., etc. And that while I did overdo it, certainly that night, and had a horrible hangover the next day, that the hangover and the ridiculousness of the night before didn't stick with me, but the idea that alcohol could be a solution to my problems did. Now, I want to take a minute here to tell you that I did not have a completely horrible life. It wasn't like every day of my life was misery. I had good days, I had bad days, I had everything in between. But I never really felt like I, I had what I wanted or that I had what I needed. Nobody loved me enough. Nobody gave me enough respect, except when I would drink alcohol, and then I would be relieved of all that worry, and I could just, I thought, be me, not have to try to impress anybody else. I will tell you this, that I'm not going to go through every year of my school days, but I will tell you this, that I began drinking at age around 14. And while I certainly didn't drink every day, and I didn't, not even every weekend, I did every opportunity I got drink. As I got older, and maybe my sophomore year in high school, I found a place where I felt like I didn't have to struggle to fit in. Unfortunately, that place was the local bar. Now, growing up in New Orleans in the 60s, the drinking age was if you had enough money in your pocket to pay for it, you were old enough. So there were a group of us that I went to high school with that every chance we got, and certainly every weekend, and some Wednesday nights, we would be hanging out in the bar and doing what young people do, being crazy. But this is what I will tell you. If you recall, I told you that all through my elementary school year days, I was an A student. I was an honor roll student. When I got into, even in junior high, my ninth grade year, I was still an honor roll, but just barely. By the time I was a sophomore in high school, I just barely passed, and then the same in my junior year. And somewhere along that time, I decided that if academic achievement wasn't respected, why bother? And I also had this odd idea that if I couldn't be the best in something, well, then I'd be the worst at it. And so I gave up trying to impress anybody else at that point, or at least I thought I did. And in my senior year in high school, I actually dropped out of high school. I never graduated. I never went to my prom, and I thought all of that stuff at that time was nonsense. In my later years, I kind of wish I had done those things, but what's past is past. I will say this again. Look, once I reached a point where I was able to look back at my life, it certainly wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and there was a lot of people that had a worse life than I did. Um, and I'm going to continue this story tomorrow night as we continue our journey through this 77 days, one day at a time. Hope you have a great evening.